This is going to be mostly negative review on Samaritan Ministries. Now, we've been with Samaritan Ministries since 2016 when we moved to Texas, and we are getting traditional insurance, and the cost was just getting too much. We had 2 kids, we were thinking about having more, and I think we were paying about $1,900 a month for insurance with a $5,500 deductible. We weren't sick. Samaritan Ministries looked like a really good option for us, around $450 a month, I believe, when we first started. I just went looking for old checks and receipts and things like that I'd sent out, and looked on my Samaritan account, but I couldn't find anything that showed what we used to pay. But it was there's no guarantee that these members are going to pay your need when they do come in. So you just kind of have to have faith and trust that people will send their checks, and it is not insurance. Now, I know from just lots of research that not even insurance companies are guaranteed to pay when you get sick. They'll say, oh, that's a pre-existing condition. This was before Obamacare and all that stuff like that did any good to help or anything. It might have, I don't know. But so I was also self-employed as a realtor. So now our 4th kid with Samaritan Insurance, which started out, I believe, as $5,500 for the maternity care, and then now has jumped to, I think it was $14,000 for our last midwife, their package that they do. Now, the great thing is you can go to any midwife that you want, as long as you didn't start the pregnancy before you joined Samaritan. There's no conditions on, oh, you have to see this doctor, in network, out of network. So we really like that about it. We found the best people around us, and they're going to pay for everything, which is awesome. The initial unshareable amount used to be $300, I believe, when we started. So basically, they're not going to pay for little short doctor's appointments, things like that. If you have a little bumps and bruises, if you have a $450 bill or something, they're going to pay $150 of it, and you're responsible for $300. So really, it's insurance in the way that you don't want to go bankrupt from this. They also have a cap at, I believe it's $250,000 or $500,000. So big needs like cancer, large surgeries, those things, multiple weeks in the hospital, those things are probably not going to be covered. We did get the save to share, which allows, I think you could go up to unlimited amount as long as you pay a little bit more each month. So since then, the initial unshareable amount has gone up to $400. There didn't used to be an initial unshareable amount for pregnancies, and now there is. We got our last need met, I'm going to say met in quotes here because it was prorated, a couple months ago, and then the initial unshareable amount went up to $700 a month after. So we were a little bit lucky there, or blessed there, but at the same time, the $1,200, we got our need prorated by over $1,200, and so if they would have shared it the next month after everyone's need or everyone's monthly shares went up, then we would have had basically the whole need met minus $700 instead of the whole need met minus the $400 unshareable minus the over $1,200 unshareable. They're not able, most months it seems like these days, in fact I just read an old email that said, it's been 2 years since we've had a prorated amount. So they're really not able anymore. It seems like they're increasing the monthly rates multiple times a year. The month that our need got shared for about $12,000 or so of the $14,000 that was owed to our midwife, because of the $400 unshareable plus the over $1,200 of prorated amount, there was a $3 million deficit between the amount of shares that were sent and the amount of needs that were needed. And then the next month, everyone's shares went up because they had voted monthly, or a few months before that. Everyone's shares went up, and there was a excess of $3 million. So I wrote into them and I said, hey, can you please just finish off our needs plus the needs that weren't met last month? And they said, oh, you have to wait a couple more weeks for us to send you a letter about that if anybody's needs were prorated. So I said, okay. It didn't really make sense because you have the extra $3 million right there. You can just go give it to everybody. They said they're sharing needs ahead of time, whatever that means. But we ended up getting another check for $500. So now we're still $700 plus $400 short of our goal, which is still way better than insurance would have been, but it still kind of irks me a little bit. And I'll tell you the overall reason that I'm making this video and that it irks me a little bit is our needs went from, I think, about $425 or $450, or our shares went from $425 to $450 a month when we first started in 2016. And then they didn't really increase much for a while, but in these last few years, they've been increasing so much. Now I believe they're $665 a month, plus we have a little bit extra. This last month we paid $860 because for some reason our Save to Share was $200. Shares are going up every month because they've been prorating and prorating and prorating. People have been getting their needs met. Samaritan, the way that they get paid, if you did 1 month out of 12, you send it to Samaritan Ministries for their administrative costs. So far as I know, their administrative costs have not gone up. Everyone's shares have gone up every single month. And we all have to prorate when they're not enough. So if we have a need, it's not enough, then we're going to prorate that need, and everybody is going to have to get less but still pay the hospital or midwife or doctor or whatever more, or the exact amount that is owed. But Samaritan, what happens to that extra money? So I asked them that in an email because I was a little frustrated because they probably got, hundreds of thousands of dollars more. Their expenses go up that much more? No, they just get more money from everybody because you don't send them a smaller check or a prorated check on that month. You send them the full amount of the share. So I sent $680 to them last month. August is the month that I send it to them. So it's just frustrating. They're making more and more money, and the only reason that they're making more and more money is not because they're bringing in more people or being more innovative. The reason they're making more and more money is because everybody's shares are going up all the time, and they always get 1 out of 12 of those shares. And so that money just goes to them. Now, I asked her, the girl I was emailing with about Samaritan, I said, why don't you guys just fix your costs where they're at when everything goes up, and then that extra money that comes in, you just give it to the people who were prorated. A 5013 or something like that non-profit organization, which I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I know nonprofits can make a lot of profits. There's nonprofits with their CEOs making millions of dollars. There's nonprofits where they're just expanding and spending buku bucks on all kinds of things that they don't need to be spending on. So just because you're a nonprofit doesn't mean you make a ton of profit. It's just your tax shelter. So a little frustrated with them that they're not taking care of their members. So far as I can see, they're just collecting more and more money, and it doesn't seem like there's any end to it. We'll probably be sharing, or we'll probably be switching to another healthcare sharing organization if we can find one that might be better at the end of the year. We've been with Samaritan a long time, but they've raised the rates way too many times, and we haven't seen anything more of it. In fact, we've actually had to pay more for needs, for initial unshareable amounts over the years. They seem like they're getting a little bit too big and getting too much money in there for their own good.